I see kimbap almost like a blank canvas, and you can definitely use any kind of a filling you want. What's stopping ourselves from putting anything inside of the kimbap is ourselves. Hi guys, my name is Eunjo Park, Executive Chef of Momofuku Sambar, and today we're going to make kimbap. Kimbap means seasoned rice wrapped in toasted seaweed. We're going to make veggie kimbap and salmon kimbap. Let's start with our rice. So I'm just pouring cold water and using my hand, gently but enough pressure that I'm actually going through the grains and actually rinsing them. Biggest question I get is the difference between kimbap and sushi. There are three major parts. First part is that rice seasoning is different. Sushi ware is seasoned with rice wine vinegar and sugar, salt. Kimbap rice is more savory, so it's seasoned with sesame oil and toasted sesame seed and little salt, that's it. I'm going to use a strainer to take off the excess starch that's coated. So when we're cooking it and season them, they're not too sticky. So I'll probably do this 2 or 3 times until the water becomes the clear side. So when water is starting to run clear, we'll strain them about 15 minutes to let the excess water out. Strained rice, and we'll put the measured amount of water in here. Gently mix with your finger and press start, and it's ready to go. We're going to start with the soy marinade. We're gonna take half of it and cure the soy salmon, and half we're going to make the pickled jalapeno. In here, I have 1 cup of soy sauce, 1.5 cup of water, and cup of mirin. I have 1 tablespoon of sugar, a nub of ginger, about a tablespoon, lightly crush them, a few cloves of garlic. I'm going to lightly smash them too. And 2 scallions, just the bottom. And the reason for me to crush them is to release the extra flavor. So it's 1 Thai bird chili. You want to bring it up at the highest heat, and then once it comes to boil, we're going to lower the heat and simmer for 20 minutes. You can feel free to add dry shiitake or charred onion to make it more smokier for marinating protein as well too. So the marinade came to a boil, so I'm just reducing the heat, and we're going to simmer for 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and slice our salmon for our salmon kimbap. Traditionally in Korea, we don't use raw seafood for kimbap. It's our new take from Momofuku Sambar that we decided to lean toward to. If you have a bigger portion, you can slice it straight down, but since this is towards the end, I'm going to slice it in an angle. The big difference about kimbap is that the filling, you have more freedom to put anything you want. Sushi is more focused on the raw seafood or like a 1 ingredient where it's pickled veggie or like a cucumber. Even in Korea, they put American cheese, fried chicken, so your favorite protein, and then you balance it out with some pickle or some kind of crunchy to balance at the ratio. Traditionally, the key ingredient is tanmuji. Tanmuji literally means salted, sweetened radish, and it's just a nice funky, like a pickle. Essentially, I'm going to shingle salmon here so they get all proper marinade. And here I have seasoning soy sauce, already made, boiled for 20 minutes and strained and cool down. Shake them a little so they're not stuck to the bottom, and we'll let them marinate for an hour to an hour and a half. Now that we have the marinade cooked for 20 minutes, I strained it, and here I have 1.5 cup of the soy marinade with distilled white vinegar and sugar. And this as well, we're going to quickly bring to boil just to melt the sugar. I'm going to cut the jalapeno. We're going to cut top and bottom, and basically filleting or taking out the seed. And if you want to make it a little spicier, feel free to leave the seeds as well. We're going to cut into small matchsticks. So the soy seasoning, it came to a boil, and we're going to pour directly on top. This is a quick pickle where you're pouring the hot liquid. If you have longer time, you can definitely make cold pickling liquid and pour over and let it hang out for a week or so. It becomes super crunch. So we'll just let it hang out. We're going to make horseradish mayo to go with our soy marinated salmon. Got mayonnaise. You can use any type of mayonnaise. Here I'm using Kewpie because it does have more MSG, so a little more savory. You can use soy sauce, or this is the seasoning soy, preserved horseradish. This is a fish sauce. We'll use about a teaspoon or so of fresh lemon juice and mix everything very well. And that's it. We are going to get rest of our fillings ready. In front of me, I have this beautiful pea shoots that we picked from the Munchies this morning. Toss them with a little bit of olive oil. I have pan on a high heat. A little salt. Traditionally in Korea, they use spinach, but anything seasonal green, kale we use, pea shoot definitely for the springtime. You blanch the spinach, squeeze it out, and season with sesame oil. That's called namul. But here we're going to make easier way. We're going to just quickly char them. So I have pan, super hot, and you should able to hear the sizzle right away. Press them a little bit to get them nice char. You definitely want the roasty char for extra flavor. I could already smell the charred pea shoot. It smells so good. In Korea, kimbap is a very humble food that kids used to take it for picnic or school field trip. But at Momofuku, I wanted to showcase that it doesn't have to be just this humble, delicious food, that it could be something elevated and still be kimbap. They are not fully, but about 80% done. I am going to pull them off now so they're not all mushy. I do want some texture in them. Season with about a teaspoon of sesame oil, a little more salt, and about half clove or so of grated garlic. In Korea, they call it 손맛. 손맛 means flavor of the hand. So, in Korea, they love to use hand. I love to use my actual hand. I grew up eating kimbap, especially on the picnic day. You wake up so excited for the field trip, and always mom would wake up in the morning and you would always eat an piece of the kimbap before you go to school and eat a nice size for the picnic. Nice toasty, savory, and it's ready to go. We'll go right into cutting the cucumber and 단무지. Key ingredient of making kimbap. It's basically a daikon radish called mu. It's been salted and cured for a long time, and then it gets poured into the pickling liquid, which usually distilled white vinegar, little more sugar and salt. This is color yellow because of the food coloring, but this we have a white one we made in-house. For my measurement, I always use actual kim, toasted dried seaweed sheet, and just to cut a little longer than the kim size. And we'll do the same for the cucumber. I'm going to cut them in half. I'm going to cut them into a plank, about ½ inch or so. I'm going to lay them flat. So we're making a long matchsticks. And we're going to do very similar for the cucumber. So we're going to make the quarters. And just slicing the seed. If you have the seed, it might make the kimbap a little more wet, so harder to roll. Basically, we're making the 단무지 and cucumber into same size. Next, we're going to season our rice. I already fluffed it, but I can show you quickly. You're not crushing them, but making sure you're just gently slicing them, making sure all the steam comes out and it doesn't become too dense. We are seasoning the rice with sesame oil and sesame seed. These are white sesame seed that's been lightly toasted. You can instantly smell the savoriness, and that's it. Next, we're going to make egg omelet. In a bowl, let's crack about 5 eggs. I have 1 tablespoon of mirin to add a little bit of smoothness and sweetness and velvet mouthfeel. Little salt. And I'm just going to use my chopstick to break the eggs. Feel free to use a fork, but you're not whipping it. We're just breaking the eggs, essentially. I have a non-stick pan heating up to about medium to medium high. I have a little bit of neutral oil, about a tablespoon. The pan is nice and hot. I'm going to pour just enough so it becomes in one layer. You're not pouring all to cover the bottom, just enough, and then you're gonna spread the rest of the egg to a nice thin layer. When eggs are about 90% done, there's no big chunks. We're going to lightly roll them using your hand, spatula, and it's easier to roll them when eggs are about 80 to 90%. If it's cooked 100%, it will get too stiff and won't roll. Let's go ahead and make one more. While pan is heating up, we're going to wrap our kimbap mat with plastic wrap. When we're done rolling it, we can just take off the plastic wrap and it's clean. And I usually go through them to get air pockets out. I'm going to use a kimbap mat to get them into a nice circle shape. Just let them hang out a little bit here. All right, we have 2 omelets made. They're resting into a nice circle shape. Now is the fun part. We're going to build our kimbap. Let's first start off with the veggie kimbap. Starting with kim. There is a gritty side. If you flip it, there is the nice shiny side. Nice shiny side is what you want for presentation, so we'll keep the shiny side down. So there's 2 ways to make kimbap, where you can put rice here and roll, get skinnier, more longer. And if you flip it, you can make bigger kimbap with more filling because you can put more seasoned rice on top. For veggie kimbap, we'll go in this way. I'm going to quickly wet my hand to make sure the rice is not sticking to your hand. And I'm building about a baseball size. I'm going to put into the center. We're going to fill from the bottom about 3/4 up. I'm just going to use my finger gently, making sure you're not smashing the rice grain, and spread the rice. I'm going to take one more sheet of kim and I'm going to cut them in half. And this is kind of our barrier in between filling and rice, and when we roll and cut it, it makes very nice clear distinction between the filling. Not in center of the kim, but center of the rice. I'm starting with mini smaller egg omelet. On next, we'll put chard pea shoot. I'm actually shaping them into a log so it's easy for me to just go and just roll the kimbap. After pea shoot is about 2 pieces of 단무지. I'm going to hold the end corner with my finger. And rest of my finger is almost protecting the filling to fall off. With my thumb rolling, I'm just continuing. And the important part is that this end piece of the seaweed is inside of the kimbap. So you get a nice wall of rice. And once it's nicely rolled, I'm using my mat to shape them. So kind of pushing, pulling, and that's it. Let's go into salmon one. We're going to put a larger piece of egg omelet, pickled jalapeno, nice chive, and a cucumber. If the seaweed is not sticking to the seam, you can use a little bit of water to get them a little wet and they will stick right away. Kimbaps are all rolled, and now I'm just going to use my finger and just dab a little bit of sesame oil. Give them nice sheen and also as a little bit of and toasted flavor. We're going to slice them into bite size. Depends how big or thin you want. You can get up to about 12 to 14 slices. If the rice is sticking to the knife, you can use a little bit of water and just shake it off to get the excess water out, and it should be easy to slice. I used to hate eating the end piece, but it is actually the best part because you get the most of the filling. So I always serve it in a restaurant. With the veggie kimbap, I'm going to serve with little side of habanero sauce, little wedge of lime, little olive oil, little crunchy sea salt to finish. For salmon, I like to cut a little thinner than the veggie kimbap because you are building with the crudo. And on next, we're gonna build our horseradish salmon. About very generous 1 spoon of a horseradish mayo on the bottom. Here we have our salmon that's been in a soy marinade for about 1.5 hours. I'm going to take them out and on top of a paper towel, fold them into half and build them on top of the horseradish mayo. And to finish off, you're going to just sprinkle everything spice. Let's go and try it. I'm gonna start with the veggie one. Personally, for me, if I had to pick one kimbap to end of the whole night, it would be veggie kimbap. It tastes like childhood to me. And for salmon kimbap, you're grabbing the salmon, but make sure you have all the horseradish sauce on the bottom. So good. The highlight is definitely salmon. Soy cured salmon has that very umami deep flavor. Horseradish mayo with extra heat, and the brightness from the lemon juice definitely break the creaminess. And with the extra everything spiced on top, it almost tastes like kimbap on steroid of becoming everything bagel with the lox. So that's our almost take on our New York style of Korean food. From here, I want you to take the idea and hopefully create your own style of kimbap at home. For recipes, please click the link below. And for more kimbaps, please visit us at Momofuku Sambar. Thank you.